So I'm Elizabeth Nelson Lida. I'm a parent in the community, of course. I don't know what else.
Okay, then you just have the little arrow that you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To make it go forward. Of course, I'm a parent in the community. Most of my children are now grown, which sounds kind of funny to me, most of them. I have 7 kids. I was an original founder of Goochland Education Foundation. I've been on all the PTA boards, and I serve on the Goochland Community Services Board now. And one of the things that we talked about doing was Goochland Day. So that's my presentation to you today. This year, it's hosted by the GHS PTSA and Goochland High School. It's Saturday, May 11th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The history of Goochland Day, and I actually looked online. Everybody who has been in Goochland for some time can tell you all about Goochland Day, but you can't find anything online about it because it's been a while. But because I looked, I can find references to it, but I can't really find the information. It's typically held annually on the Saturday before Mother's Day. It included a parade, vendors, food, and music, and it brought the community together. So it was like a real community event. Used to be in downtown Goochland, what I call downtown Goochland. Started at the courthouse, and they ran the parade up Route 6. Yeah. And there were vendors, and they even had them all the way over to where the J. Sargent Reynolds is. So why did GHS and GHS PTSA want to bring back Goochland Day? And we did so because we knew that Goochland Day was a beloved event. And we were looking for a flagship event, particularly Mr. Collier, who is the principal of the high school, that would foster camaraderie and giving within the community, for the community. And Goochland itself has been asking for Goochland Day to come back. There's a lot of discussion on social media regularly about Goochland Day. So in 2017, late 2017, I did come and make a small discussion presentation with Mr. Budeski, the county administrators, to talk about doing this and what we were planning on doing, and moving forward, gauging interest with different community groups, to develop it further and further. We did do Goochland Day last year. We did it as a small reboot just to get it going again. It was at the middle school, high school complex, and we utilized all of the property on the outside from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We had vendors, food, inflatables, knocker balls, crafts, community organizations. Spencer's Treble Maker had the children come and do recitals, and then they had a number of adults play as well. And then there was a baseball game doubleheader in the stadium. And Goochland Parks and Rec had brought over chairs, tables, things, kind of like you would see at the Fall Festival. And we made the front of the school a food truck loop, and then we set up tables and chairs, throughout so that people could have a place to sit and enjoy themselves, and crafts for the kids and that kind of thing. The idea was to start small and just grow it further and further. If you're not knowledgeable of what a knocker ball is, that's what that lower right-hand picture is. So you get in it, and you throw yourself against another human being. That's what a knocker ball is. And it is hilarious to watch. It's hilarious to watch. So something we learned from last year, what were our takeaways? It was great. We did it. It was successful. We didn't lose money doing it because we didn't invest a lot of money in doing it. We had vendors, so we made money off of the vendor tables. But we realized that nobody at 9 a.m. on a Saturday wants to see a food truck. Okay? And it's not on the traditional day. So a lot of the feedback revolved around, well, this isn't really Goochland Day if you're not having it on the right day. I know that sounds funny, but okay, point taken. So Goochland Day this year, again, is May 11th. That is the day before Mother's Day, which is the traditional day that they would have held Goochland Day historically. It's going to be at the middle school, high school complex again. But we're supposed to have many more vendors. We're working very much on increasing the vendors in attendance. Community service groups, CASA, I believe, has asked, any community service group can have a table for free. We're not charging for community service groups to have tables. So CASA was interested in having a table, contacted me. Goochland Free Clinic, Goochland Cares now is also doing it. We're reaching out to like a laundry list of organizations to make sure that we're being inclusive, including clubs at the school and the middle school, high school, and hopefully it'll just get bigger and bigger over time. We have a particularly interesting musical talent from Goochland that has offered to do a concert if they can get commitment from the last person that's part of the band, and that we would use the stadium, the football stadium, for the concert. And Parks and Rec is assisting us again with tables and chairs. And our objective is obviously to show growth in attendance over the prior year. And we want to continue to nurture and grow the event so that many more community groups will engage, not only in the event, but in the planning of the event and the execution of the event, so that this becomes a staple again in Goochland County. We are not able to have a parade at this time. That's not something that the Sheriff's Department is interested in supporting. So, and that may change. That may change. Okay. These rides, just so you know, there's a bull ride, and there are 2 different rides. Each of those rides hold 12 people. They're family friendly. They're not hard rides to ride. And that would be a change from last year having the carnival rides. Pardon me. So this year's budget, we are looking at about $800 for banners and signs for the marketing, crafts, the concerts, the event policy, the inflatables, the dunk tank, and the generators, and the carnival rides, which I thought was actually pretty reasonable. I thought it was going to be much more expensive than that. And that is insured up to $2 million, and they'll provide the rider and all of that stuff for the event. Because, you know, carnival rides, obviously you hear stories about carnival rides, which is why I asked for ground level. So the estimate for the cost of the event is $10,425. If we have the concert, we will be charging for the concert. What I'm trying to do is trying to make it so that lots of people can attend, because you don't want to charge too much for rides and that kind of thing. So that's what makes it a little bit difficult. But this is what we have to spend to execute this event, just to let you know. Okay. So the ask is this an event that the Goochland Economic Development Authority can support financially in assisting growing, or if you're interested in helping in any way? And now I just kind of open it up for questions. You can, if something hits you later, you could email me, you can telephone me. We're having another committee meeting this weekend, and we do, you know, we have a significant number of people now engaged and making calls and doing all of the coordination for the event. The big part of it, though, are vendors, and the school system, Goochland County Public Schools and Goochland High School is supporting the event with the property, obviously.
Do you have any other current sponsors you're looking to?
We have not asked for any sponsors. It makes it a little bit difficult this time of year too. The springtime is when everybody is doing an event, unfortunately. And the Education Foundation has an annual gala, so I know that, you know, as a foundation we've taken quite a bit. All of the elementary schools just went through and did all of their silent auctions and bidding and asking for sponsors, as well the Boy Scouts. So it's just a really difficult time of year to get people to commit, because they're deciding, instead of giving one group 500 or 1,000 or 2,000, they're going to take that same money and split it multiple ways, which is fine, but it just makes it much more difficult to work with.
How many people attended on the reboot, and what would be your expectations on the new one?
Right, so last year we had about 700 people come, which was I think that was low, very low. But for this year, we're hoping that we have about 3,000 to 4,000 people attend. The musical showcase that would be in the stadium, the concert, which I'm waiting for that confirmation.
Right.
the person is known in the county and would draw a significant crowd. And I believe the dynamic of having things for the children to do there and working with GYAA to try to get them to do a sign-up event that same day would draw more evenly across the demographics in age and the whole bit across the county.
Can you tell me a little more about the history of the event and what brought it down? What was positive about that division?
So I've only lived here myself since 2003. I don't know who else knows why they stopped doing it. I know the Goochland Chamber was very, very involved in it historically. I know that a lot of great things came from having Goochland Day. Let me give you a great example because I read a story about this. Before there was fire, there were no fire stations in Goochland at all. And one of the things that developed from Goochland Day, because the church burned down and the ladies got together, was to start fundraising to get fire stations in Goochland, which actually opened the first fire station in Goochland. So that's historic. That's been quite some time.
Yeah.
I believe the last time they had the event was in the 80s, and I believe it had something to do with the ending of the parade. But I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah, so no, I've heard, Lisa Parrish knows a lot about it.
Uh-huh.
I think she's.
And Deborah Wilds, I got some history from Deborah.
But I guess VDOT stopped letting them put a banner across Route 6, and they didn't want them to do the parade on Route 6 anymore. That put a stop to it. So what will you do if you don't get the money?
We will continue to move forward and cross our fingers and pare down. We might have one carnival ride versus 3 carnival rides. We would charge more for the general public, like, when you walk up, that must be, oh, look, here's a ride. The kids all are gonna wanna get on it, right? But we have to charge them to ride the rides, right, to try to balance that out. And we may need to charge them anyways, just to make sure that the event covers itself, because that's what we did last year, but we didn't have that last year. So,
And who else is on the committee with you?
the entire PTSA board, Chris Collier, parents who no longer have children in the county, Gina Saunders, Tia Bear.
So I think what we'll have to do is discuss this
Mhm.
and get back to you. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you for clear.
Yeah.
Just very much.
Absolutely, and please let me know, like I said there, in the presentation, if you have any other questions or follow-up issues, just let me know.
What
Yes, sir.
timeframe? What timeframe are you looking for? Is this just a floating date that you're looking for any commitments by any date prior to the event, or do you have any established schedule of what's needs, monies?
Right, so we have to make a commitment to the carnival gentleman within the next 30 days. He's already penciled us in, but he needs to be sure because we're taking up his time and his property, and he actually is driving it up from North Carolina. So we have to pay him, to make the deposits and that kind of thing. And we have to do that 30 days before the event. So that's April 11th-ish, right?
When will you have commitment on the band?
I will know about the band before this weekend.
So what do you think the cost, the revenue would be on that?
So if I'm guessing, this particular band easily pulls $10 to $20 a head per person. And they filled the auditorium that was standing room only at Goochland High School, just for the band, the last time the band performed.
So to get that band,
It changes.
$10 a head, if you get 1,000 people.
So how much are you looking for, let's say, upfront cost coverage, advice, let's say a grant or any other type of donation? that is, are you looking for, let's say, capital for the investment for the event, or are you looking just for a grant?
I'm looking for capital to invest in it so that we can ensure that the event takes place, and provided that it covers the cost, then it can be returned. But that's always the risk, isn't it?
That's always the risk.
So you're looking for the EDA to underwrite?
To assist with that. Because we do have to make deposits and things, and to be perfectly honest, at the high school level, parents, there are many, many interest groups at the high school, and it's hard to get parents to think of it, to just, why am I giving money to a PTSA? So we have a little bit of money to work with from the school's general fund, a little bit that can be allocated for the event. But they also have to do other events for other groups at the high school, right? So you have boosters for band, football, this, that. Every interest group has a group at the high school. So it's really hard to engage parents at a PTSA level at the high school. Yeah. So I have high hopes. I think it would be a great event for the county moving forward. It's kind of the point.
Yes, we have,
Well, we will try to get back to you
Yes.
very soon.
Thank you kindly. And again, if you have any other questions, just let me know. And we haven't put out the flyer. We were gonna put that out, but when the band issue came up, or the band suggestion, it would change the entire dynamic of what can happen. So, I hope so. Alrighty, thank you. Thank you kindly for your time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful meeting.
Thank you.
Good evening, so.
And now moving on to the minutes. Sarah, has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from February?
I move that we approve the minutes of the February.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, the minutes are approved. Do we have a treasurer's report?
What's to be really quick, there's only one, so I see only one transaction, it was, interest, deposited, Wells Fargo, $11.80. And that was on a transaction for the month of February. There's been one transaction since, we basically had notice of a tax rebate, or excuse me, a rebate from the partner, from the, Winning Hall Creek Coast, that'll be in the next report. That's-
Okay.
So, not much to report.
Okay. And we don't have to vote on that. New business.
So we will be starting our social media pages here in the next week or so. So we've gone through our legal training on that in terms of freedom of speech and what can be posted and understanding that. So we are hoping to get the economic development. We're looking at Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn pages up and running with the idea that Facebook would be geared towards local businesses and citizens. Instagram would be geared more towards tourism, and our LinkedIn page would be kind of geared towards new business and recruiting site location consultants and pushing out vacant sites and buildings and things like that. And then Sarah and I have been working diligently with some workforce development resource partners and meeting with them to try to identify potential workforce issues that may face our existing businesses and potentially new businesses. And working with them to see what they're seeing in the workforce right now with the unemployment rate being so low. It is really hard for businesses to find workers, especially in the labor field or even kind of admin spaces. So really trying to work with some of our partners around town to figure out, what resources they offer and how we can connect our businesses with them, or know what sources they offer so that as a new business is coming to us looking to hire X number of people, we know them offhand and we can connect them with the appropriate parties. So, that's it for new business.
Anybody else have any new business?
Are you going to the EDA, EDA meeting next week?
Mhm.
Any presentation, or is it just more of a fact finding?
It's more fact-finding and meeting with state representatives from VEDP as well as other kind of regional and statewide economic developers to hear kind of best practices. But we have signed up to meet with a site location consultant to talk through kind of what they're looking for when they're looking to recruit or looking at specific geographic areas so that we can be better kind of situated to be able to provide that information and have that on hand and kind of have already done our research, so when asked about it, we can easily supply it.
Oh, that's right, it's P.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you have VEDA, you have VEDP, you have VADO. There's a lot of them.
And this is in Harrisonburg.
Yes, that's correct.
And you two are both going to the agritourism conference in April? Or just you're going to that? Okay.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be really good. Existing business?
Sure. So the actual physical draft will be reviewed next month. I do have some things that we can go over. I think, Lisa, I think you took the blue cord out of the machine.
I took it out of the phone.
Yeah, I think it was linked to the machine because I lost connectivity to the network. Is there another one we can just throw in there?
Let me. Maybe it just has to start over.
So, I can't really get into the details of the investment right now. If any of you are interested, we can talk offline and we can get into the details of the investment. But I wanted to kind of review very high level with you right now, and then know that next month you're actually going to get a hard copy of the draft agreement between it's Notch Properties LLC. It's for the new hotel. So we had, when Matt Ryan was here, he had entered into an agreement with them to provide tax reimbursement incentive for real estate taxes, not TCSD, so just the 53 cents, and business personal property paid for 5 years, but not to exceed $200,000. So how it will work is that they will construct the building and they will have jobs, and they have a target date that they have to have the building constructed and the jobs hired, and they have to maintain these jobs for 5 years. And so we have a reporting mechanism that they have to report to us that the jobs are being maintained. And so my job will say, okay, they've made the investment prior to this date, and they have the jobs hired and maintained. And so then ideally, we're looking at by September 2020, the investment will be made and all jobs have been started. Then they will pay their 2021 taxes. So it's not like we're giving them money up front. They actually have to pay the taxes. We do our review to make sure that everything, jobs have been maintained. And then the county provides the EDA the money, and the EDA reimburses them, similar to what you're doing with Hardywood now. So it's in, the year after, and it'll be for 5 years. Now let's say they meet that 200,000 in year 3, then it's done. And so it does not go over 200,000. So that's kind of the highlights of what you're going to see. We have done the return on investment, and we do, it will work, and I'm sure that they'll probably get to the 200,000 before the 5 years, but that's what it worked out. So, like I said, if any of you are interested in seeing any of the details, we can go over that.
Is this still being negotiated, or is this?
It is still being negotiated with the landowner, which is why I can't really get into specifics right now. Yeah.
What's the variable on the percent of completion of the project?
So, no, I mean, we are negotiating how much capital investment he is going to actually spend and when it's going to be done.
Okay.
So, and you know, we want to make sure that we're not putting a new burden on him and saying, hey, it's got to be done by next month,
Yeah.
you know. So, but we don't actually want it going out 5 years from now either. We want the hotel to be moving for that. So.
And of course, this is it is within the TSCD.
It is.
And it's also water, wastewater in addition.
Yes. So none of those, you know, those will be, the ad valorem tax will be paid and connection fees will be paid and utility, water and sewer rates will be paid. Yeah. The other thing that we had is we have a request from the chamber to see if you would be willing to sponsor the Goochland Flying Squirrels game. It's July 18th, Goochland night at the Diamond. And apparently last year was the largest, showing that they had at the Diamond. The Goochland County brought out.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so they were looking for $150 to sponsorship. And what'll happen is we can put the Economic Development logo or the Economic Development Authority logo on the tickets. So every ticket that goes out gets into the hands of everyone. We're gonna have your logo on it. So they just need to know by the next month if they're interested in sponsorship.
Is this again to throw the first pitch?
You know, I don't know who's throwing out the first pitch.
And is that by next meeting? Need to know by?
Yes. So, and that's July 18th. So that's the Goochland Squirrels. The other thing is their annual golf tournament is coming up, and because you are a chamber member, you get a golf team. So I don't know if any of you guys are golfers. If you are, you get to go on a team. I've never been. Apparently, it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I used to drive the beer truck. It's really fun.
Yeah, so Casey's doing that this year. You're welcome to join me.
You're driving the beer truck?
Yeah.
You're gonna have a blast.
You're welcome to join me.
I was apparently the only one that ever got tips. I don't know.
May. Oh yeah. May. Oh, it's like May. You said July 18th. Now it's in May. I know. No, it's not.
Cool.
It
Yeah.
is May. 14th. I am going to be
It's usually a
in.
Tuesday.
No, math always works.
Yes, it's May 14th, and they provide lunch, and dinner, beverages, and a lot of fun.
And where was it?
It's at Sycamore Creek.
Sycamore Creek.
Yes.
It is a lot of fun. They have a really good turnout. They have a ton of stuff that they raffle off. It's the biggest fundraiser for the chamber.
So if you're interested, we can get you in touch with the chamber to get your team set up.
Anybody golf?
I play, but I'm not.
Nobody's really all
I've
that.
done it.
It is played best ball.
Yeah,
So
I've
you
done
don't
it
have
in
to be
Captain's
great.
Choice environment.
Okay.
I,
I think it'd be fun
I,
to see.
I play, but no.
You know?
I have in the past.
That sounds like a team to me.
Yeah. I have to sit.
Well, think about it. Don't get too hard. It's really a fun time.
Yeah.
That's one of the fun.
That sounds fun.
And I like Sycamore Creek. It's a fun one.
And the cost is covered because they've already paid for it.
Right.
Correct, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's part of your chamber membership.
You game?
What day is it?
I think it's a Tuesday.
Is it afternoon or morning?
It's
All day.
All
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. It's like from 11 to dinner.
Probably cigars.
networking,
Pretty networking, folks. Introduce yourself, get on
There
the
you
golf.
go. And I'm fine. Okay, I'm fine.
You play?
I don't golf.
You know,
I do, but I'm terrible.
That's your set of clubs.
Do you play, Lisa?
I do not.
No, I don't play.
why can't it be pickleball?
Oh, golf.
All right, we'll follow up to see if we can get this team together. You'll have to sleep on it at least.
Yeah, that's all I have.
So do we wanna, do we have to vote on the $150 sponsorship?
Yeah, because you're gonna take the money just like you would vote on the list, you're gonna vote on that.
Yeah.
Whether you vote today or next month. Because you're gonna take money out of your account.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's $150,
Right.
it's not a big.
So when we get to bills to be paid, we can vote on it. If you want.
EDA marketing products.
Yes,
Speaking of logo, does the EDA actually have its own logo?
no. So,
I was thinking about that all my logo.
right, so that's what we went to, a place, Target Marketing, and we went and got some goodies from them. We got some examples from, so, that did not turn out well. So it looked much better in person. We didn't take this from Hanover because this is one of their higher end, things, and they didn't give it to us. But this is Hanover logo. This is very similar to one of these kind of books that everybody's are using these days. It had a little pen area. It had one of these flips. It was a very, very nice book. And that was one of the things that they gave out. This is one of their more, cheaper versions, so it's spiralized. What was really cool is they had this front page, which is just like a quick little Hanover County information on that front page. So it really kind of made it theirs. So we took a picture of that one. And, this was a little grab bag. From Target Marketing, but it's not too big. It's not like a real big bag. It's about this big. But what they used it for is when they were going out to do business visits or something like that, they would put some goodies down in there. So a cookie or something like that, and they would just give it to businesses along with business cards, like a little chip clip holder, which I don't think we got one of, and like pins and things like that, just to kind of say, hey, thank you for being in our county. Oh, and like a leave behind, like a one sheeter, like these are some resources for you. This is what our office can provide you. And so they had some really good stuff. Casey went through and came up with some ideas. We just put the Goochland County logo on it just so you could kind of see what it would look like. Here, what is this? The seed.
So that's the seeds as we talk about agriculture and agritourism being a big part of Goochland County and its history and its past. Embracing that for handouts in terms of those are little seeds that you can plant and then grow and it grows flowers or something like that. So just something a little different.
No chia pet?
Car chargers. Hand sanitizer sprays are big. Of course, bags. So this is a new thing is that straws. So a lot of places you go and they're not offering straws anymore. So now it's your own personal straw. Charging. They come with little cleaners.
Do they really?
Yep. Power packs. So as we were looking through some of this, we tried to go with items that were a little smaller, thinking that if we were traveling or going to conferences, trade shows, etc., whether they're in state or not, the people we were talking to, if they're flying, these are items they can take with them in their carry-ons. They anything like that, and items that we think people would keep longer as opposed to chucking in the trash the minute they got home, or giving to their kid like a frisbee or something that, you know, they then lose that reminder of Goochland County. So some things that are a little more, you're a little more apt to keep. We went to New Kent and they have chapstick with their brand on it there, right? A lot eyeglass cleaners. So here's New Kent's with their brand, and then Hanover came in a nice little plastic container with, and Hanover gave us a great hint to make sure all your social media platforms are on everything that you do. So Hanover has theirs.
Wow.
Yeah.
idea.
And then, of course, the pins, all of the pins. So that's just Hanover County, and then New Kent's. And then even the pens, I don't know if you've noticed lately, they are starting with the stylus on the tip for phones and iPads and things like that. And then the portable chargers, or this is like a converter, so you can plug it into your laptop, and it actually gives you more USB ports,
I like that.
right? Or you can charge your phone with it. So this is for the
I
charger.
wonder what the shelf life on that is.
I'm sure you can find out from her. And then Hanover had the little pads, you know, just quick little easy thing to give out. And they gave us, Target Marketing gave us this big book of stuff, right?
Where is Target Marketing?
They're in Hanover. So, these are the folks that Hanover uses. We were gonna see if we could find a, I don't know of one.
Wanda may be able to help you, cause she just ordered,
Oh, Wanda?
she just ordered a bunch of stuff for the county.
Right, she uses
These county
promotional
prints.
images, right, but they're not a Goochland business, so
Yeah.
it's, you know.
We just ordered a bunch of
Well,
stuff for the county.
Goochland Tees might be able to do some of those things.
The Target Marketing is the, like, state tourism promotional provider. Yes, so they have the license to use Virginia's for loans,
Oh.
right? So we were like,
Yeah.
my mind was like, you know, Virginia is for craft beverage lovers, and then, you know, and
Except you-
Goochland too, you know,
Except,
something
yeah,
like that.
you can't really use that unless you get permission, right? You can't.
They have, no, you can, they have all the rules, they have all the permissions,
Okay.
so they can do stuff like that,
Oh.
yeah, so that's,
Oh.
it just has to say it a certain way.
Yeah.
And you can add Goochland to it, you just can't take away from it, yeah, so, we thought that was cool, but yeah, I'll look into the Goochland teas. So, the question becomes, the EDA doesn't necessarily have a logo. Goochland County has a logo. Casey and I are looking at adding Virginia to that logo, because if we go, or specifically at a state, and we're trying to get people to come back to Virginia, it's, you know, to Goochland, they're like, where's Goochland? You know, Hanover's logo is, you know exactly where that is. It's on the east coast of the United States, right smack dab in the middle. Like, you can look at it and know exactly where we are. So we were trying to definitely add Virginia somewhere in there. It doesn't say anything about economic development on it, but, you know, so we don't know whether we can add that, or economic development authority to it. At what point does it get too wordy? So, really up to you guys, what you wanna do. You know, we can play around with some marketing and bring back some samples to you, or, you know, is there anything in particular that you like or don't like?
What kind of quantities are we looking at for something like this?
So,
What's the expense of that?
sure, so it really depends on the item. Some of them, the more expensive items have lower quantities starting out, whereas like the pens, it's 100, but some of them are under $1. So it kind of really just depends on the item. So, look up a couple of
I just don't know where you start.
Yeah, so like a lot of the bags, the minimum quantities are like at least 100, 150
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So like I said, it just kind of depends on the item.
Right.
I personally think the EDA needs its own logo to differentiate itself, because we're not really Beechland County, we're a separate authority.
Yeah, except we're trying to sell Beecham County. I mean, you know, it depends on what people are gonna take away from it.
And, you know, something you might want to consider is, listen, I'm just talking about this, is going to the chamber and see what marketing firms, if there are any, that anyone's aware of. Because I know there are people that live in the county that run marketing firms. And,
Oh yeah, you
But-
could probably get a logo design with a marketing firm that's based in Beechland.
and, you know, really go back and forth on the discussion of the vision of the EDA, how do you bring it, right? That's a whole thing into itself.
Well, I mean, did you happen to notice in any of your research you've been doing whether other counties have their own EDA logos?
None of the items we picked up had EDA logos. None of them mentioned having EDA logos. Yeah, these were all specifically economic development driven items, not EDA driven items.
Is your department office have funding for marketing?
We had a line item in the budget for specifically for marketing. How much is left at I know the video that was done came out of that this year. So I don't know how much is left this year, but next year we'll get refilled back on it. So yeah, we do.
You know what the ag
What
approximately?
it is, I want to say it was like 20, but I mean that's for full marketing, marketing events and trade shows and things like that. So
EDP would be part of that?
if VEDP had a trade show that we attended and we needed marketing materials to go to that trade show, yes.
But yeah, that does bring up the point of the county brand versus EDA versus should be the same. It's a good question.
It probably should just be realistically.
Yeah, I mean, why bother reinventing the wheel, kind of, they've already got it going, they always have an established marketing company that's doing it.
And I mean, obviously, when we get to the point where we get into the strategic plan, you'll see lots of things for the EDA to be a part of. So like, for example, when we go on like a business walk or something like that, and we want to make sure our existing businesses know that you guys exist, because maybe you have an incentive program for existing business. We can always get like pads of paper that say Economic Development Authority, and do you need a loan, or something like that. Some kind of takeaway that's specifically for you guys, that we can specifically, when we go out to the existing businesses, say, hey, you know that we have an Economic Development Authority, and they offer X, Y, and Z for our existing businesses.
More like a marketing brochure or something.
Correct. Yeah. So we
That
can
makes sense.
definitely do that. Always an option, but if you guys wanted to purchase any of these items, though, if you're interested in any of it, for us to hand out either to new businesses or existing businesses, you can let us know. When we have this book, I can give it to you and let you go through it. You can stop by the office and look through it, or see any of these items.
In the meantime, if we wanted just to distribute county, we would buy it from the county, or would they provide that? What we wanted.
I think that we're looking to buy specific economic development related items out of our current budget. And so we would use that.
I think the computer type things is stuff that people are not gonna throw away.
Yeah.
I like that one and the phone charger and that we pack.
One of the, I told you I knew a guy, and they did the presentation for the girls out sick, so they couldn't find the presentation. The one thing he did tell me, the hottest thing that they're selling now are mini Bluetooth speakers people take with them.
Told ya. We
Uh,
saw
We
that.
saw those at, Target Marketing.
And
you
where I
can
was
print
like,
them,
what?
you know, screen print on the outside,
Yes.
which one did. People are taking, they said people really use, and they probably would, I would, if I had
Yeah,
my, I
sure.
could put it in my bag and just take it with me. So, they last a pretty long time.
That's one of those items that's a little higher price.
It is, but
But,
the key is they take it with you.
yeah,
Once it becomes part of that bag.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
stays
that's,
in.
that's not something we would give, like, there are definitely levels of swag, if you will, levels
Yeah.
of promotional items in terms of things that, you know, you can give out when we do things at the high school or, you know, kind of events like that, and higher end items where you're really trying to recruit either a new business, a site location consultant who's coming in from like Texas or something to visit, or a special event that maybe BEDP has set up to bring in folks from outside of the area, those type of things.
As far as pads, like printed paper pads, I've gone back helping the company that bought me, so they're printed, I get you all the printed. We could probably do that for free.
Okay.
Just, give us something you want.
That's great.
They're cheap. It takes no time.
People always like those.
Yeah, like I said, we were looking for items that have a longer shelf life, you're not gonna throw away. And also something that's gonna, you know, if we go to a trade show and it's a large trade show, something that people are gonna talk about, and then draw back and be like, oh, are you the guys who have X? Yeah, because there's always that one table
Right.
that found the weird thing that everybody wants.
Those speakers will go, or you do have to protect them, because
Yeah,
they're expensive, and everyone will try and take them.
Oh, yeah, right.
How big are they? They're like this big, and they're good.
Yeah.
They're
I gave away onion sets the other day, and I was the most popular table. But yeah, the Bluetooth would be a great one.
Floss water is the other thing that we heard today.
Oh,
I was like, everybody was after a fly swatter, like, wow, you got fly swatters. Okay.
I was at a cattle convention, and they gave away cattle prize. I mean, most of these people flew. It's like a weapon. I don't know how you're
how
gonna
do
get
you
it
get it
off.
home?
But you wouldn't believe, there were 10,000 people there, I bet they gave away 5. Everyone was walking around. I mean, it was nothing you could just fold away.
And how many ended up in the TS?
Right.
Exactly.
Actually, TSA was like,
I'm amazed at what
like
people
another
take. That's right. But it's gotta stay with you.
Yeah.
You're right. Half that stuff doesn't make it past, there.
And that was our kind of goal, trying to think through it, is what would I fly home with? What would I, what would we leave behind? What would we take with us? And I'm, going through drawers of what have I brought with me from job to job, or things like that. The eyeglass cleaner, the cloths,
Cords.
which, cords, any of that stuff.
Come across any edible items?
So what we were thinking about in terms of edible items is trying to keep that local. We do have a local business that does like cookie production, and so we were thinking for some of our existing businesses, one of those leave behinds would be a cookie that has their company logo on the front, and then a sticker with Goochland County's logo on the back. But we were trying to keep that local if we can, because we do know we have a lot of vendors.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that piece we kind of avoided. The only thing we thought about was maybe gum or mints, that we would probably outsource, but
Yeah, I don't know, just thinking about some byproducts of some of the wineries or something like that. There's a candy that they take out of wine or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
We do something like that to represent an agricultural product from.
Wine flavored jelly beans.
Yeah.
We can make champagne flavored ones, I know. So.
I don't know about the beer flavored ones. Well, I love lifting the book.
it's fun.
So, how do we come up with a logo? What's that process?
I would think if the EDA wanted to come up with a logo, they would need to contract with a marketing firm. Yes, sir. The county redid theirs, what, 5 years ago?
Well, Derek I wanna say Parks and Rec did one for themselves.
Okay.
Do we have
So
to
I-
like draw? No,
No.
contract or something. Yeah, I have a ton of designers.
And you're saying none of the places you visited, the EDA had, none of them had their own
No.
logo?
No. Well, their involvement was also fairly minimal, I would say.
Even the state just uses Virginia's for others, right? Most of their stuff, that was
Um,
Virginia.
Let's see, this is the state economic development website. Now. What is it? I don't think this is it.
Say if you're gonna do a bag, make it a, insulated bag. I know they're more expensive, but I tend to use those way more than the regular
Yeah.
bags.
Shopping.
So VEDP actually just went through a whole rebranding. And so this is their logo now. And everything on their website are Virginia jobs. So all these pictures are pictures from around Virginia. But, I mean, theirs is very kind of sleek. So, the Virginia for Lovers, I think, is the Virginia tourism.
That is the, that is exactly.
This is so slow, it's killing me.
I love these cutting boards too. You can get cutting boards in the shape of your counter.
Yeah. We
Nobody
thought
ever
about
throws
that.
those away.
No.
I'm telling you, 'cause I have one, not in Beachland, but in the shape of Virginia.
They're very expensive.
Yeah. But they're
But we'll add it to the list. Like I said, there's gonna be stages of promotional items. Right. But no, so you would not have to go out, I mean, if
You
you,
don't have to put it in there. That's, I could.
depends
If
on
you
the,
came, if we came up with something, or anyone scribbled something, I could get a designer.
Right.
so if you're paying the person, there are certain rules that you have to abide by. If
It was
you're,
just not that.
if it's free, you know, if they just donate it to you, then that's.
Yeah, we can get it done.
I like those tubes rather than bag paper, because people don't throw away tubes.
It's true. Yeah, you put like a big like logo on it, you know, social media platforms maybe on each side.
All right. Well, thank you for all that work.
So the CVEC update, I emailed that out to everyone after our last meeting. I know we had questions about it. So currently the county is reviewing the proposed agreement and comparing it against other localities. The next step will be having the county attorney's office review it, and then it will come to the EDA for review and approval. And that's pretty much, so there's not much of an update since I sent it out to you all via email after our last meeting. I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page with that.
How about the gateway signage?
Yeah, so,
Let me backtrack real quick. Is, if I'm remembering correctly, there isn't any per se economic incentive provided to them outside of what the county will do, is that right?
I'm not 100% sure. Let me follow up with Paul, who is managing that project. I kind of get snippets of it, and I hate to give you the wrong information. So let me follow up with him, and I can send you an email. So, Goochland's looking at putting in gateway signage. You know, we used to have a sign that said, let's see, welcome to Goochland County. And it was on the right-hand side as you're coming down 250 out of Henrico, and when the Audi dealership put in their turn lanes, the sign down.
The one where 6 still exists.
Yes. So, this has been on Mr. Stamey's plate, you know, to go out and to get this looked at. So what they're doing is there's some options, and they are taking them out to the town halls, and they're letting the citizens vote on what they want to see in the gateway signage. So, Mr. Staney did say that you guys can vote if you have a preference as to what you want to see and what kind of sign, and that they'll take that into consideration when it goes before the board. But there's three kind of things. The first one is, do you like the new logo,
Yes.
or do you like the old traditional seal? And then moving from there, this would be like on the main primary roads, so Route 6, 250, maybe 522, but definitely Route 6 and
There's one that
250.
already exists at Centerville.
There is a
It's a gate right
There's
there.
a gate, but there's no sign on it.
Right.
Yep, this would be closer to the Wawa. In the median,
Got it.
right outside of, say, where Page Alley is, in the
Right.
median.
I hate the ones that have like I mean, the big gold, they're really,
So there's option number one, which is more just like fencing. Option number two has this cross member in it, so it's very similar to option one, but there's this cross member. Option three is columns, kind of taken from the Jeffersonian architecture, and then four has this one coming across there.
looks a tad formal.
Right,
Yeah, right, it really looks like you wanna bang it.
it does. So, and then these are the options for the smaller roads, like maybe 522, and some of the other roads that lead in and out of the county.
Mhm.
So after the town halls, they're gonna take it to the board and then decide, let the board decide whether they feel like that they've had enough input or whether they need more input.
Mhm.
But ultimately, the board will vote on the design and then move forward with it. So I didn't know if you guys were interested in sharing your opinion with our board members.
Yeah.
I like my town hall more than
We don't want to double vote, but the EDA, I think, can have a vote if you guys have a preference. Up to you.
I like the first one.
It's kind of
Number
simple.
what?
I like the second one.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, they're simple, they're not as, I don't know, formal,
It's more rural.
gaudy, yeah. I like the current ones.
So how do we feel? Do we like the logo or the seal?
Logo.
Yeah, those seals too
Okay.
busy. I think more
So,
logo or two.
two? Does anyone else have any other opinion?
I know, it's good. It's clean. And sure, so,
Or Greek.
great. That's great. But, but that would be on that really.
When you go individually as citizens.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, more than
That's-
not just as a body.
So you don't have to. Like if you decide, never mind, we can't figure it out.
Right.
That's fine too. Up to you. And if you want to just vote as a citizen, I encourage you to just, I guess you can just reach out to your board member. I don't really know. Lisa, do you know? Like how, if a citizen just wanted to vote on this, can they just come to your office or?
Yeah, or Derek or whatever.
Okay.
Derek said that, they gave people stickers or
Yeah.
something, dots
Yeah,
or
they
something.
do dots.
Those are your town hall.
We do a
Yeah,
document.
It's definitely open to citizens and everybody.
It's gonna be a democratic process.
Hers is next week. Tuesday.
It was very good.
Tuesday night.
I was very impressed.
Oh, you mean the,
Town hall.
town hall, yeah. Oh, okay, so we do it at the town hall.
Yeah.
Right,
I-
I was gonna say, we
I-
can vote there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the strategic plan discussion.
Yeah. We've all been waiting. Pass these out. We can go over them. There's 4 goals. And we can go over them
These back.
goal by goal. Well, this is the first one, is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn my camera out so I can Bigger.
Yes, you are.
We can take these home and study them.
Yes, so ideally, we could have some recommendations by next month, and a vote next month, whether to move, these forward with changes or whatever, and then, the next step would be to go to the board of supervisors and then talk to them about it. So we've kind of broken it down, as you can see at the top in blue, you have new business. Right, I figured we'd go through new business.
Oh,
but-
She just gave us the new business.
Gotcha, so you don't get too overwhelmed.
Right,
Yeah,
I
so this
did print the other ones, but I can't read them.
So we have, 4 different goals. We have new business, existing business, tourism, and administrative. So new business, we've highlighted anywhere in the owner section that we have added EDA into it. So that you can kind of see, and that is going to be, not necessarily a task for you all, but something we may be bringing to you for approval or discussion, or, if we're talking about a potential local incentive or, state incentive match, those items are included in there. So new business, our goal is to stimulate investment and job growth through new business development. And then in the orange, each one has an objective. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 different objectives under new business. We're trying not to dive too far into this because I feel like we could probably be here for a couple hours talking through this.
Yep.
So our goal is to kind of present it to you all to review. We're happy to meet with you individually or groups of 2 to talk through it if you have additional questions, notes, comments, or anything like that before our next meeting. But new business, our big focus is increase the capital investment. We talked about marketing the county, establishing target markets so we know who we're marketing to and what we want to see come in, creating an incentive program, and then understanding workforce needs. And as you heard Sarah and I talk about, some of this we've kind of started very low level and kind of creating, starting to build that foundation, but this is really kind of been building it up. So, do you guys have any immediate questions on new business?
Yeah, I think we just have to take them home and study it.
Yeah, it is a little overwhelming.
This
I
is-
like the format though, it's easier to digest with the different objectives and then
Good.
who's involved, tasks, I like the way you framed it.
Is this available in its original electronic format?
Yes. Would you like us to send it?
If you would.
Not a problem.
You can send it to us.
We can send it in. Yeah. We can, it's in Excel, so we can send you the Excel file so that we can kind of blow it up a little bit. So this
Oh,
is
my.
goal number 2, existing business. Whoa, sorry. And it's done. Same kind of format. Try to keep everything a little bit easier. Sure. So for existing business, we have 6 objectives. Create a business visitation program is number 1. And evaluate incentives for existing businesses for retention and expansion. Market existing businesses and their successes. Evaluate the needs or benefits for an incubator and or a co-working space in the county. Offer education and training programs for existing businesses and offer resources to existing businesses to help them grow. So that's what we kind of touched on, and you'll notice highlighted again are anything that the EDA can be involved with, specifically business walks and helping with some of the business visitation.
What do you mean by business walk?
So a business walk is where you send out letters or social media to certain areas, so like Rockville Commerce Center. Okay, Rockville Commerce Center, the Goochland County Economic Development Department is going to be in your business park this week. And you go and you have volunteers
and people, with resource partners and teams. Maybe you know that you have an issue with power in that business park, so you bring Dominion into you, or a member from the EDA, and you go and you just knock on their doors, and you give them a little leave behind, and you say, hey, I'm from the Economic Development Department, and this is what we can offer your business, and we'll be happy to sit down and talk to you further. It's like literally like 10 minutes, and you just go through it in the last couple days, and then you've touched every single business in that area. So ideally, you would do Rockville Commerce Center, Lanier, Broad Street area, courthouse area. West Creek's a little big to walk, but you know.
Segways.
Yeah. And so those are the kind of things that we would love to keep you guys involved in if you're interested in doing that. But it's just another way to let the businesses know that we're there for them and we care about them. We want them to stay.
Like campaigning.
It is a little bit like campaigning, except you're selling Goochland. And so this is tourism.
So tourism, we partnered with the Department of Parks and Recreation and their director to kind of come up with some topics and objectives to talk through the tourism piece. Since we won't be specifically doing tourism, we wanted to make sure that they had an input and overview as well. So these have a little bit longer timelines, and part of that is because we're trying to get our piece of it up and running, they have their director is currently out on maternity leave as well. So by the time we get approval and the plan in place and everything else, that's what we're looking at. So they're working to create a Goochland tourism brand, market the existing tourism offerings, build relationships with community and regional partners, identify agritourism activities and things like that. Enhance outdoor activities. So you will see that there's not much of anything highlighted in yellow, and that's the plan is that the Parks and Rec Department would manage the majority of this part of the plan, but that we would then become just kind of partners with them.
And again, I don't remember, are they actually going to hire somebody to do this, or have somebody that's already there working on it?
As far as I know, it's existing staff. I could be wrong.
I just feel like that's what the problem with tourism in the county's been in the past, is that it's always been some organization that just devotes somebody that's already doing something else to do it, and they don't do it enough.
Sure. It's a valid concern, and
But I could see it being at least a half-time job.
oh yeah, absolutely. And we can, build that into the plan, this is your plan. So if that you're concerned about it, we can definitely add that in. Lastly, administrative, it's the same kind of.
Where's your task done?
Oh, okay, no, we're done. So when we were doing this, we had some things that we thought were important, but they didn't fit in new business, existing business, or tourism. And so we said, well, we just need like an administrative section, a goal to create an effective and efficient economic development department. So under that, there are 4 objectives: set standards for the economic development department, which obviously we are already doing, but customer service standards and the creation of a business center. So that's what we were looking at building when they're renovating the building down the street for us to move in with the chamber. Create a metrics for the economic development department tracking. That's pretty much, what this plan is. It's a great metrics for us to say that these are the tasks we need to do, and this is the time frame to do them in. And then examine the EDA role and what you guys want to be a part of and what you can do. This is your plan.
Did you say you're moving?
So the ultimate plan is there's a building, the old bank building, and the county owns that building, and they want to renovate it, and then the Economic Development Department would move into that building, ideally with the Chamber of Commerce. They would rent space from the county, and then we would be in one central location together. So right now, we're working out of borrowed offices. So we're in the old Commissioner Revenue offices right now, and that whole wing is getting renovated, and Commissioner Revenue is supposed to be moving back into that area. And it does, let's see, we went to New Kent today, and their economic development office is in a separate office. It's in with their visitor center. And Hanover has a separate office outside of their courthouse complex. They're over like Atlee Station Road. There's something else we visited. They were just off-site. It creates a little bit of different atmosphere, so the businesses, when they come in, they don't feel like they're necessarily being regulated. Like, you know, they feel more like open and it's more business friendly. So that's what we're trying to establish. So if you guys want to dig into this, and like Casey said, if you have questions or if you want to meet with us between now and the next meeting, get into this, then by all means, if you have changes or anything, we definitely want to know, because this is your baby.
You put a lot of work into this, thank you.
I know you waited a long time to see it too. So
I know. Well, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about doing is going to have to be based on what we come up with.
yeah, so as we move forward, actions and conferences, trade shows, or anything like that that Sarah and I attend, or meetings, will all tie back into the strategic plan.
Any other questions or comments? Any bills to be paid?
Do you wanna consider the $150 request?
Yes,
I move that we do the $150 sponsorship for the Richmond Squirrels.
Goochland night.
Richmond night for the Squirrels.
Who seconded?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Alright.
Are you,
And then we just have a discussion about this writer's presentation.
Is it your impression she's asking for the whole 10,000? Because that's what she estimated it was gonna cost, and she's not asking anybody else, right?
what you started with?
Well, I
Right,
think,
but she's,
yeah.
yes, I think Lisa asked her if there were other people that she was considering asking.
yeah, no, she's not asking. They have some funds, but she was kind of vague about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm personally not really comfortable doing that much money. I think we kind of had, our biggest cap that we've done in the past, and this has been like years ago, was the golf tournament. And Ben, you probably remember, I think we did like $4,000 or $5,000 for that. But there was really no ROI on the golf tournament for us at all. The chamber, there's an ROI, and I think we've done $2,500 a year for the last several years for that.
And you're a membership, you're a part of that, you function with that.
Yeah, and it's clearly, part of our economic development realm. I think that it's would be really good for Richmond County. Would be a boon for citizens.
I'll suggest that if the group agrees, and it's just a matter of front money, that's one thing. But if it's a matter of total investment without, let's say, the potential draw, that becomes problematic. I mean, I think it's within our purview in general within the Code of Virginia, but I hate to see EDA go up.
I mean, the main thing is we don't really have a process still for these types of requests. Although we have given to the chamber, we've given to the Historical Society without a process.
And I think this would, and that's part of the reason why I'm trying to characterize it differently. It's more of a, let's say, CapEx expenditure with the intent of a payback.
But there is a risk, because we don't know.
Absolutely. And she said that, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, by this weekend she'd know about the group.
Right.
So I think that will give us some more knowledge. But the unfortunate thing is, and I think I'm looking at you because you were writing down the dates that
She needs to know by April 11th,
April 11th.
because she's gotta commit to the,
So it would be
Carnival
difficult.
rides.
carnival rides.
Right.
Difficult to commit before that time. I don't think we should make any type of, I mean, my personal opinion, make any type of commitment. If there was already, let's say, some type of agreement, I don't want to say agreement, but some type of source of revenue that would, you know,
Ensure there's a sustainability year after year.
well, not just sustainability, but in this particular case, give them the opportunity to have a source of revenue to pay back, thinking that there would be, it's like any type of other event, you know, where you have to lay out cash up front to get the, and then therefore get the return.
But she said there were certain deposits and down
Exactly.
payments. She didn't tell us how much.
Yeah.
And it could be, she only needs $2,000 for down payments and deposits. And it was, we were underwriting that amount and knew there was a band that was gonna cover at least that. That's one thing. We go into it with no dollars, no nothing. I think that if we did that without any other information, we would own this for the rest of the time future days.
Well, and also I think we'd be doing a disservice to what we're supposed to do. So I think we need more information, and I don't think, unfortunately, April 11th is a
For our
good
next
date.
meeting.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna make a decision, I think it has to be next week. So we have enough information. Because we're also gonna have to query her about exactly what the deposits are and so forth. And I think if the band agrees, then it starts to change. Just
In my mind, it changed, and it's complete difference between
Yeah.
making,
Well,
they're
she said she
underwriting
knew that and
paying.
Exactly, because they've got the popularity, I think, that induce that payback.
What if we drafted some type of motion that would say, if these things lined up, then we would do it? Trying to think of how we could vote on it now without having to come back next month, which would be too late for them.
I think part of the problem is we don't know what, I mean, we saw a sketch of the budget, but we don't know the exact budget, we don't know the amounts and so forth, so I think it'd be a little difficult to craft something, I mean, because it have to be so ambiguous, such ambiguity in it, that it would be, I don't know.
Anybody else have any suggestions or comments?
This is kind of vague, and, you know, depends what she's asking. And it sounds, and I wasn't quite sure whether or not, if they meet that $10,000 budget, right, to the elected, whether we can pay back or not. That's the thing. And the other thing, quite frankly, I don't understand the economic development of all this. What's it going to do to further economic development in the future? I kind of hope we'll get that maybe from answering the historical questions. Like its demise and that type of thing. I just, you know, I'm kind of, unless I'm looking more about that.
I question coming to us as opposed to, I mean, it seemed like everyone involved was a school, parent, past parent, school board, or PTA member. It almost doesn't fit with the mission that PTA has. I, you know, so I can be convinced otherwise, but I didn't see
Usually you
dollars or.
usually do it to raise money. too.
Well, I mean, her ask is, on the bottom, the ask.
But she said also at the end, that it could be underwriting, it could be maybe not, we don't know. We leave that open.
Yeah, she was pretty big. Guess I thought that ask thing was on that same page as the actual budget, but it's not.
got the total budget, but I'm sure she's got to put up money in front, it's, percent, so, all of that.
No.
And we would definitely need some type of written agreement that would spell forth the conditions. I think 15.2.44901, probably the seventh paragraph, talks about cultural benefits, supporting, blah, 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 it goes on and on, whatever, talking about different things. I could argue it would fit within that, but I think there's just on the, if she keeps it, well, I think the question, we can get more information from her, but I don't think we can do it until next meeting. I just don't see how we can.
What other type of information would you like me to get from her? The, down payment amounts?
Well, down payment amounts,
When she did.
exactly,
Well,
schedule.
I was just gonna have a conversation with the band or manager of the band.
Yeah.
She said she'll know by this weekend whether that's a part of the play or not. So that changes it for us a little bit, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, at least financially, right? Not about what it means for economic development, right? Kind of a proud to be a Goochland citizen thing. I don't know if it'll increase any economic development, but.
Well, there's a lot of small vendors that would go to it, so
Okay,
it's
yeah.
some, but,
Right.
I mean, but there are small businesses.
So I guess the band, if she gets the band to commit, that's one piece of information that helps us say yay or nay at all, right?
To me, if she had the band commit and there was a limit on what we would cover, meaning maybe the initial deposits that she needed to advance the entire deal, I could maybe see that, but we have to know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
And if there's dollars left over, we can get paid back. She mentioned that, right?
Yeah, well, I think
She did say that.
yeah, she did say that, I think that would be, I would look at this as a more of a loan
Or
than a
advance.
grant,
Right.
per se.
So whatever we agree, first payback is us. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
First.
I don't even know that we would call it, well, I guess you call it a loan, but an advance.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah,
a
We're
lower
allowed to do loans per the code, so.
So then how much? 2,000?
I don't think that we should go over what we need in chamber. I mean, that's kind of a threshold that we've set in the past. That's, I don't know.
I think we could see what the bottom line is. I wouldn't know, but cause she, I'm not confident of the dollars.
They certainly have a plan B, because she gave, she didn't get the money, cut out the rides.
But that was the most expensive part of it,
They
right?
know what they would do.
Right.
now.
Right.
So they obviously know.
Like, that's half of it right there. The rides.
And I did ask her, prior to the meeting, like, how are you paying for this now? She said, it's going out of my pocket. Wow. Or it's going out of school,
Right.
and probably a few other parents. Yeah. All right, I'll get that information from her, and we'll just address it next
And
time.
obviously, moving forward with this, we're gonna work on coming up with a policy that kind of runs through this and how requests would come and things like that. But something else we wanna consider with some of this stuff is how does it tie back to the strategic plan
Exactly.
once it's approved as well?
Absolutely.
Right.
So think through that as well. This potentially, as Sarah and I were talking, it could be a tourism piece of if that band is a large enough draw, to factor into that, but definitely think through that as well as, once we have this policy in place, connecting all of those requests to either a specific objective or something moving forward in the strategic plan.
There's no doubt that it could become a big event, right?
Absolutely.
And, if it reaches out past the county, then we're probably, it's getting more and more into our sphere. The question is, do we want to help get it started?
Can you get that information and just give us an email and maybe we can all reply to all or give us some thoughts or?
Okay.
Because if it's like next meeting, we're just too late. No.
Well, I think we need to go back to her and say it has to be next meeting before we can vote on it, withdrawal for the general withdrawal funds. So what she says to that.
Okay, will do. Any other business before we go into closed session?
Just one real quick item. I did take the self-induced assessment, whatever permission of representing Goochland County Economic Development Authority Monday at the GTC conference in San Jose.
Which is what?
The GPU Technology Conference. GPUs being the technology as opposed to CPUs that's used for visualization in AI. And for about the last 3 to 8 days, I've been out in Silicon Valley doing a number of different things, business and so forth. And I haven't been out there for, I've been going out there for over a couple decades. I've never seen it like this. And I wish we could attract some of that up here. There is billions of dollars that is just flowing into that place like I've never seen. I don't even know where to start other than to say that it's absolutely stunning what's going on. And it's all being driven by tech, AI, visualization, robotics, autonomous operations of everything, and data centers. The data centers are being critical, not from an external standpoint, but an internal standpoint. The growth of data internally is going exponentially, and there's no end in sight. So I wish we could get one little itsy part of it. Now I do know Capital One is playing into some of that, and also funny enough, I ran into there's a guy standing right next to us at one of the sessions that was from Draper 8 engineering firm. In fact, what's his name was on the EDA was from there. But it's, I don't know what to say other than the growth is absolutely astronomical.
So the Chinese how to find a data center for us.
Or Google, or
Right, yeah.
but I know that's near impossible because everybody wants it. But it did bring up one of the keys that you have to have solid high speed internet.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're meeting with and have met with the utility providers in the area, including, broadband and things like that, and going through that process, so that we know which sites are primed for data centers or any of that, so that we have a better idea as we start creating marketing packages specifically for like West Creek that has all of the amenities running to it at the moment, so that we can push those out to specific site location consultants or industry specific.
Any other business before we go into closed session?
Regarding the hotel, are we gonna be asked to vote or anything on that?
Yes. Yes, so you, hopefully next month, you're gonna actually have the performance agreement in front of you, draft, to review, and the EDA will be party to that performance agreement. So it'll be between the landowner, the board, and the EDA.
But that'll be just a pass through, correct?
It'll be a pass-through, yes.
So we won't really.
You will not have any funds associated with it, but you will be a pass-through entity.
Speaking of performance agreements, I did have the opportunity to talk to Lisa Pumphrey
Oh, good.
about what's going on with their build out that they're supposed to be doing. And she just said, her divorce cost her a lot of money and kind of ruined her credit a little bit. So she's trying to rebuild from that and is working on getting more financing to move forward. And she knows what the deadlines are. So she's working really hard on it.
This is in jail. Really good.
Yeah.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
They're going to start growing hemp out there also, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, they've gotten some agreements together to start manufacturing, not manufacturing, but growing the hemp on the farm. So that'll increase some revenue. All right, I guess we're gonna go into closed session.